Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champonians?
Okay, Fantasy Champonians.
Yeah. Week 18 is here. There's no Thursday night football this week, but there is a Saturday night football game, which is the first time I've ever seen that nonsense happen. Usually all the games are on the same day on the last week of the regular season.
I think it happened last year.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
Are
I
you
think
sure?
the Titans-Jaguars game, which was for the division, which is
Okay.
kind of what it is this year.
Yeah.
They put on Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday night.
Wild. But this will be our final regular season 2024 episode of the year. Or 2023, I should say. Sorry, not 2024. I jumped the gun. Sorry. Starting next week, we jump into off-season content and breaking down what the heck actually happened this year in the NFL for fantasy football, and start doing and start prepping you for drafts. I mean, we do mock drafts way too freaking early, and it just grind season is upon us. So it should be an interesting offseason. It should be an interesting year. It was an interesting 2023 season. Can't wait for the playoffs. Wild stuff always happens in the playoffs. Best time of year. But we still got one more show to get to. Starts and sits for the final time in 2023. Let's run it. What say you, Rick?
Let's do it.
All right, so before we jump into starts and sits, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any of the other podcasting platforms, please leave a review. Share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, comment down below. Quickly, thoughts on the 2023 season in one sentence.
Overrated.
I was going to say it sucked.
Yeah, I was going to say it kind of blows.
Yeah, I think fantasy football is always fun. So
Lots of injuries.
Yeah, lots of injuries. That's a good one. So I will break down the NFL season, but should be an interesting weekend. We do have some starts and sits to get to, so we'll get to those right away. Send you on your merry way, and then next week we will start spending hours talking about the offseason. So before we. Well, actually, no, I already did the introduction.
You did.
Yeah, dude, my brain's off right now. All right, I'll start with my quarterback start, and then Rick can give his, and we'll go from there. My start of the week at the quarterback position is Jordan Love. Obviously, this past weekend, Mr. Love had a really good game, and he's actually had a good stretch of a few games here in the fantasy playoffs. He is currently QB5 on the year. He had 24 week 16, 28 week 17. So if you're in a week 18 championship, he does happen to have a really saucy matchup against the Chicago Bears. Chicago has improved defensively, so I don't think this is going to be like a monster game for Jordan Love, but I do think he'll probably hit 20 fantasy points, and he'll be a good play this week. So if you're in your fantasy championships, you have Jordan Love in a Week 18 championship, I'd play him. The other benefit is that you know that Jordan Love is going to be playing this week because their playoff lives are on the line. So they will be active in this game and trying to win. So Jordan Love, get him in your lineup, ride it.
Yeah, no, good one. He's been on a tear lately. I have Geno Smith against Arizona now.
Okay.
You might be looking to stream quarterbacks. Maybe he's on your bench. With the injuries and the potential guys that might be resting in Week 18, maybe guys that are getting sat, who knows? It's going to be interesting to see what the quarterbacks look like. I know Geno, though, it's a game the Seahawks need to win. They're going to be going all out. It's against Arizona, who is coming off a win. I don't think they win back-to-back games. And I think Geno Smith has to play well and does play well in this game. So if you're looking for someone to plug and play, I think Geno's a good option for it. And he's been okay last 2 weeks, 17 points in the last 2 weeks. I think he can do that and maybe even have a bigger week this week.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. I looked at him and I was like, should you do Geno Smith this week? And then he's been mid, so it's hard.
He has been mid. Last 3 games though, because he didn't play against Philly,
Mm-hmm.
so So his last 3 games, 31, 17, 17.
There you go. All right. It was a perfect
And
reason.
he's up against Arizona this week.
All right, let's move to the running back, or actually the sits this week at quarterback. I got Matt Stafford at San Francisco. It's San Francisco. There's really nothing else to say. I mean, they currently give up 14 fantasy points a game to the quarterback position. Matt Stafford doesn't happen to be. It is a divisional matchup, so it's kind of like, no, it's not. Is it? Yeah, it's a divisional matchup. It's something that he might have a good game in that instance, because that every time I say to sit Matt Stafford for whatever reason he goes off. But this week against San Francisco, this is not a good game to take the risk. If you have other options, I'd pivot to the other options. But sit Matt Stafford this week.
My guy is Baker Mayfield, who's having arguably the best year of his career. He's QB9 in fantasy, 28 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions. He's going to throw for 4,000 yards. Has had a really good season, but is playing against Carolina. He's battling some injuries. Carolina, you would think, is a good matchup, but it's really not for quarterbacks. For some reason, they defend the pass well. Mm-hmm. I think it's because they're usually losing in games, and quarterbacks won't throw the ball much in the second half.
Yeah.
So I could see that being a possibility as well. He's on a heater. He's had some big games lately, so I do think he's also due to just have like a 10-point week. Even if it's not bad in real NFL, he might not put up crazy numbers.
Okay. Let's move to the running back position. I got Swift at the Giants. Now, Rick is making fun of my list over here because these players you probably should be starting.
There's some big names, but
Swift has been good. He's been chicken nuggies.
Yeah.
He's been bad. So, if you have Swift and you somehow made it to your championship in Week 18, I'd play him this week against the Giants. The Giants are just terrible.
You're saying to ride the wave.
You just got to ride the wave, and that's going to be the theme of my starts show, my starts portion of my show. Just ride the wave. But I do think Swift is due for a good game this week against the Giants. The Eagles have to win, so it's not like they're going to, unless they know something. They're not gonna start sitting all their guys and getting them out of the game. So. They're trying to win the division out here. Get some home playoff games in there. But so they'll need Swift to do that. I think Swift will be in the game. They'll utilize him. The big thing with Swift and the reason why he is inconsistent and he doesn't perform at a high level is because, if they get the ball 10 yards out, they can't freaking QB sneak it. But the tush push comes out at the 1 yard line. They don't even give it a shot for DeAndre Swift. So, hey, the year of the touchdown might be next year for Swift when the NFL makes pushing people into the end zone illegal. But yeah, Swift against the Giants, I'd start him.
Yeah, I'm kind of on a same boat, different player. My guy's Tony Pollard has been really inconsistent this year. You said you were done with him. I was kind of done with him. I think I traded him to you in our league. Just overall had a disappointing year, but I would say he's a good start against Washington. Last time he played Washington, he did have 21 fantasy points. Mm-hmm. Washington defense is garbage. They're garbage against the run as well. So I think Pollard should have a decent game this week. But if he ends up not playing well this week, talk about a blast.
Yeah, talk about a complete bust of a player.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sucks. He's running back 14, so I guess he's not that bad.
Yeah,
you know what he'll do? You know what he'll do?
He'll
get 27 points this week, and
he might.
It'll fix him. It'll make him running back
He'll
9.
Finish
so we'll think about it. We'll be
that's why I don't include Week 18 stats usually when I look.
Yeah. All right. So sits at the running back position. I have David Montgomery versus. Why did I write the team that he was playing?
You wrote it out.
I wrote. I didn't write
out
the team. The team that he's on.
I'll tell you. Hold
on. He's playing Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
So there's a reason why I picked him, but I'm freaking over here picking this stupid dude. Oh my god, my brain is off. Yeah. So Minnesota gives up 17 points a game to the running back position, which is a top 10 tough matchup. Montgomery has been supplanted as the second running back on that football team that, when I say second running back, I mean 48% of the snaps to 52. So he gets a run in the game, and he does get a lot of run on the goal. But I think the only way he does have a good week this week is if he punches it in for a touchdown, which I don't think is like a super high percentage chance of happening, considering that they've been getting Jahmyr Gibbs a lot of work. So I would sit David Montgomery this week versus Minnesota and call it a day, friends.
My guy might be a little surprising because he's been really good since Ramondre's injury, but I would say Zeke. And one of the reasons why is, looking at what he's done, he's had some really good games, but he's only averaging 3 yards a carry or worse in each game. He's been kind of touchdown reliant or reception reliant. This last week against the Bills, he had 11 fantasy points on a touchdown. So he had 39 rushing yards, 2 catch on 14 carries, so 2.1
touchdown.
7-9. Yeah, it was just a really bad week for him. If he did not have a touchdown, he would have been at 5 points.
Oh yeah.
Not saying he does that against the Jets.
I thought you said on one play. I was like, I don't remember that.
No, I think he probably gets like 40 rushing yards with like a few receptions in there, so it gets him up to like 8 or 9 points, but not really worth.
Kevin Harris lurks a touchdown from him.
Yeah, heck, maybe. But it's also the Jets, so it's a very tough matchup.
Yeah, not a bad one. He's also 100 years old. I want to see, as a Patriots fan, I'd love to see Zeke back in New England next year.
Yeah, 29 years old.
Yeah, he's a fighter, bro. He's one of the fighter dudes.
Okay. Yeah, he's our third running back. The third running back on the depth chart.
Week 17, the team has 4 wins. You should see these chip blocks that Zeke's putting out there.
Yeah, I saw one on Twitter.
Yeah, he's still working hard.
Himself up.
The Patriots. Well, I don't know if the Patriots would pay him if it's not Bill anymore, but I think they're the only team in the NFL that would pay him at this point to play football. He's probably going to have to pay large amounts of Chick-fil-A to play football.
Yeah, he needs it.
All right, let's talk about the wide receiver position. I got Stephon Diggs at Miami. Now you're thinking, wow, it's Stephon Diggs. I'm going to start him. Well, yeah, you should be. But it has been, I told you what he was on the last show if you were listening, weeks 10 to 17. This dude has been wide receiver 48. That's bad. That's really bad. That's barely startable at this point.
You're telling us to start him.
If I made the fantasy championship, there was a significant part of me that was thinking about benching Dalton Kincaid and Stephon Diggs in week 17. A freaking serious part of me, because I'm actually curious to see if I actually did that, what the situation would be. Hold on a second. Let's see what I got on my bench in this stupid league. All right, I had 9 points from Zach Charbonnet, 14 from Roschon Johnson. So if I bench Diggs, I could have gotten 14 points instead of 7. So I don't know if that helps anything. But,
maybe it would have.
But anyway, yeah, so for me, I always say start your studs. I don't even know if you want to consider Stephon Diggs a stud here in the second half of the season. What I do know is that he's playing Miami, and Buffalo's life could be on the line in this game. If the things that happen on Sunday, Buffalo could not make the playoffs. They want to go for the division win against Miami. So, in this instance, it's going to be one of those situations where, the Bills have to make a statement. Diggs has to show up, and the Bills have to be good if they want to win the division. If they don't, then it's over. I think Miami sucks defensively. I don't think they're very good. They've had moments this year, but against Buffalo, I don't think they're going to have a moment. They do play at home, though, so it could be, who knows. But I think Stephon Diggs bounces back, has a good week this week, gets 20+, and you feel good about starting him. It hurts a little bit to put him in the game, but it is a good matchup, so I'd do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. For me, it's Calvin Ridley.
You're going with the other guy that sucked.
I know. It's had a disappointing year overall. He's had flashes, had moments, but overall just a really disappointing season. Trevor Lawrence is coming back this week. I think he missed last week. Mm-hmm. So coming back this week against the Titans. And last game Ridley played against the Titans, he had 31 fantasy points. He was destroying them. They're a very easy matchup. Ridley has kind of been like Gabe Davis in a way where he's had some really good games and some really bad games, and he's just been it's been a roller coaster season, but I do think he finishes the year good with a game against Titans.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's talk about some sits at the wide receiver position. I got George Pickens at Baltimore. Pickens, like the George Pickens experience is just like a giant roller coaster from a horror movie themed theme park.
A little bit.
Because sometimes he's not as bad as Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is like a theme park
he's just
directly
like
in the pits of hell. But George Pickens does like a lot of booms and busts. So far this year, 8, 22, 11, 5, 26, 15, 9, 1, 7, 7, 8, 12, 6, 7, 35, and then 20 against Seattle last week. So you're probably like, whoa. Gonna start him. Not against Baltimore, you don't. No, siree. And Baltimore, I don't know if they're actually going to play anybody in this game. So who knows? Maybe it actually is a good game for George Pickens. But if Baltimore plays their guys and the defense is still the defense, I think George Pickens will have a tough week this week. They do still have Deontay Johnson, so there's still some stuff to be spread around there. What is it? What did I say they were playing again? Jeez, freaking A, bro. Baltimore, thank you. Baltimore has given up 25 points per game to the wide receiver position, so I don't think a boom game is happening for George Pickens, especially when that's literally all he does. So I'm expecting 7 to 10 fantasy points from George Pickens, and that's it. And I don't want that in my lineup if I'm going for a chip.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. My guy is someone who has been decent. I'm a fan of his in the past, but it's Terry McLaurin. And he's coming off a good game. He's coming off a couple good games.
The bona fide G?
He's just been so inconsistent.
Yes.
The quarterback play has been so inconsistent.
Yep.
The way Eric Bieniemy uses the receivers is inconsistent.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he likes to use all sorts of different guys. Mm-hmm. And up against Dallas, really tough matchup. Dallas historically kind of locks up Terry McLaurin. Like I think last year, both his games he struggled against Dallas. Mm-hmm. This year he had 9 fantasy points in his game against Dallas, which I think was on Thanksgiving. But I would probably expect another like 8 or 9 point week from McLaurin.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's move to the tight end position really quickly. For tight end, I have Chig Okonkwo versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Chig, he was one of my dudes. You know what I mean? He was one of my dudes coming into the season, like really the only breakout tight end that I could think of. Next year's going to be a lot of them, but this particular guy for this year was like one of my favorites, and he didn't score more than 10 fantasy points until week 16.
And 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he had 1 touchdown on the year. And that was the 1 week he had the 1 touchdown was when he scored 18 fantasy points. So he was always right there in terms of production, but just not getting enough targets, not getting enough touchdowns. Against Jacksonville, though, in Week 18, I think he has a shot to do some good things. So if you're looking for a streaming option or a guy to throw in your lineup, I think Chig is a fine option for you against Jacksonville.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I have Tucker Kraft against the Bears. I would say ride the wave. He's been really good. He's been getting 6 targets a week since Week 14. He has 10, 15, 10, 10. That's pretty good for a tight end. Home against Chicago. I think he probably continues that and he's at least going to get you about 5 to 6 targets, which means in PPR he can have a good week.
Yeah, for sure. Sit for me, Dalton Schultz at Indianapolis. Indianapolis always seems to end up with a decent middle of the field defense with their linebackers. So against Indianapolis, it's going to be a tough matchup for Dalton Schultz. It also seems like Jordan Brevin is kind of taking over as the main tight end over there in Houston. So I wouldn't take the risk on Dalton Schultz. I'd sit him this week if I had the opportunity.
I would sit Kyle Pitts because he's Kyle Pitts.
Oh, we made the list again.
He's Kyle Pitts. He's been consistent all year.
I feel like next year we should just put a extra spot on the show just for Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts reserve spot.
Yeah, it's just a reserve spot for Kyle Pitts.
Though, if they get a new quarterback that I like, Arthur Smith is gone. I'm gonna be all in.
Yeah, you're gonna be you're gonna be on the ground sweating.
Definition of Was it being psychotic?
Atlanta trades 4 first-round picks and their current
Caleb
first-round
Williams?
pick to get Caleb Williams. You will
Oh my gosh, dude, my pants are
It
off.
doesn't matter if Arthur
He's the
Smith's
next Travis Kelce.
You know they would go QBBC over there with Arthur Smith if they drafted Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Him, Desmond Ridder, and Taylor Heineke would rotate.
Yeah, all 3 of them in one game. Did you hear a team actually did that this year? I think it was the Chargers.
Really?
It was either the Chargers or Jacksonville. But somebody rotated their quarterbacks. They gave one guy the first drive, the next guy the second drive, and they kept on going back and forth until they picked a guy that they liked.
Sheesh, I'm surprised Bill Belichick didn't do that.
Yeah, he had it queued up in his office right now. He's watching it. He's thinking about it. But yeah, there you go. Starts and sits. Any more thoughts on these guys?
Nah, I think that's it.
Okay, there you go. 2023 is in the books, friends. Good luck in your Week 18 championship. We will be back next week breaking down what happened this year with some off-season content after Week 18 is over. Good luck this week. Go get your fantasy championship. See you later, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.